Alright, now I need to drain this tank down to do a water change. I've taken a old credit card or room key card and used it to scrape all the glass off. Now I'm going to be using, this is an old filter top, this is some window screening so the fish don't get sucked back up, and I need to siphon this down for a water change. This lets me set the level. See, I could set it to just do down to here, deeper, deeper. I have to be careful because I got a heater in there and I don't want to get down below where the heater is. So I'm going to squeeze the little balls. There's the water gets started. That'll give me a nice water change. We'll try and get some of these catfish in here to start spawning. Got Chordurus arcuatus in here. There's about 6 or 7 of them. And then there's a couple of one-time oddballs in here. So we'll give them a nice big water change. Siphon it into my garbage can here. It's got rollers on the bottom. You can see it'll roll around. Then I can roll it back to the back door and put a pump in it with a water hose and run it out to the garden. Or this time of year I just run it out into the yard. I don't have any kind of a drain down here in the basement, so it's got to get siphoned out into the yard. But this has worked really well for me. Alan out in Salt Lake City has like a whole collection of these things for different sized tanks. And it's what he uses. He's got a drain system, but he'll siphon into his drains. And he can do half a dozen tanks at the same time and not worry about them getting out of control. Stir up some of this stuff. Now that the tank is drained down quite a ways, I can bring out one of my other favorite tools. That's these little nylon scrubbies. There's one still in good shape. Haven't used that one yet. There's usually a 2-pack, doobies or something like that, little scrubbies. But these are a good coarse nylon netting over a regular sponge. Once you start getting rid of the water, you can see the spots that you missed. Getting the algae out of. I really should be scraping the back more, but quite often I don't, because the algae helps with the, as long as it stays on the glass in the back, it helps with the water quality. When I get this tank refilled, I'll put a filter on it to help clean up the water, secondary filter, get it all cleaned up. And as you can see, we've kicked off, turned off right at that point. Lift it up, siphon it out, fold it up, keep it in a big plastic container so whatever water drippings there is doesn't get in the way. And I'll start refilling this tank. Alright, I've refilled the tank and now I got all this particulates and some of the algae and stuff I want to get rid of. And I'm going to put one of these hot magnums on it. This is something Bob Grauer out in Denver turned me on to. He must have bought them by the case, but you know how it is trying to catch African cichlids. You got to dismantle the tank to do it, and then when you put all the stuff back in, the tank looks like something horrible happened to it. So he uses these. Now it comes with a real tight one or one like this that'll get the pretty good sized pieces, and we got a lot of stuff in here. But what I have found is you can take little pieces of filter material and shove in the sides. Any kind of filter material you have. I use these little spongy things. This is a cut your own stuff. Cut your own filters. The other is some of that fancy material from Stephan Tanner, which is like the finest foam ever made. But when I'm cutting them for filters, I always have little pieces left over, so I use them to stuff into these filters. So you pile all that stuff in there, and then put this in the top. You got a little part here with a washer. These washers will shred over time. I got one I've got to find a replacement for. And then comes the part where I always try and see how big a mess I can make. You got to get the thing full of water, and we've still got more parts to go in it. Thus tells you where I make a mess, because it needs to be full of water but not quite full of water. And then you need to be coordinated. So now we have another big heavy plastic piece to go on top, and of course while you did that your other thing floated out, this little spot, so you kind of hold it in. Then you have the top piece. There's another big O-ring and one right here. So then we're going to put this on there, pull this up, fold this up, and fold it over. And if we're, well, and you'll get a snap when you've done it correctly, which is why you didn't hear that the first time. Now at this point it's ready to go. I've plugged it in. What's really nice is this has an on-off switch. I'm going to pull some of the glass cover back over here because this is going to get this stuff moving pretty good. Now I don't want it splashing all over the place. So we're going to come down here toward the end, and this thing will aim different directions, and if I primed it correctly it'll run. If I haven't, it just empties out of water and then I start over. So we'll give it a kickstart here, and if you've never seen these things, see how big a mess I can make. Let's take it off and show you. It moves a tremendous amount of water. Got a little divider, aim it the way you want it. So it lets you point it to where you want it and really stir things up. Then the intake can pull all that nasty stuff out of here. So as you can see, I've really turned this into like a disaster zone. But this filter will have it all cleaned up in about an hour, and then I'll be ready to move on to the next tank.